Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sharing my screen and getting things situated a little bit here so I can see the chat. And please feel free to unmute yourself, chime in, share your tips and tricks and questions. This morning, I'm going to do a walkthrough of Rancor, the advanced bibliographic editor. And if someone can put into the chat if you can hear me, if my sound is okay, because I'm going to try to narrate things that I'm doing as I do them, since we don't really have a lot of captioning once the video is recorded. Ah, great. Thank you. Thanks so much, folks. All right. So the first thing that I tend to do when using the advanced bib editor to catalog originally is I'm simply on this screen and I go to cataloging. You can go here or you can go here through the button, new record, and I use the default framework for everything, but you may be doing it differently in your library. And my Firefox settings are such that it always defaults me to the basic editor. I simply switch. And when I come in that way, if you have your browser set to the advanced editor, you might have a different template here. But this works fine for me. In ours, the 040 is mandatory. Control D gets you a subfield delimiter. And please stop me and ask questions at any time. Whenever I'm doing a record, I try to always begin with the variable fields. And this is not a real record. I'm not cataloging anything that's actually something real at the moment. I'm doing a total fake test. And let's see, we've got some chat. Oh, let's see if I can take care of that. Okay. So let's see. We have someone saying they missed how I got to this screen. We'll simply shoot over here. And you can get here through the cataloging tab or through more up here and selecting cataloging. You can do a new record and pick your...
We're not seeing what you're doing.
Oh, you're not seeing. Okay. Let me do new share. There we go. Okay, starting over.
Looks good now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. You can get here through picking your cataloging button here or through more and cataloging, new record, and then you can pick your framework. In my library, we just always use the default framework. And if your browser's set to the basic editor, at this point, you can simply say switch to advanced editor. And there you go, ready to type. So at this point, I'll go back to where we were. And I had just begun keying. And Control D gives you a delimiter, and this is going to be a fake record. So let's see. Oh, great point in the chat that you can only use the advanced editor if it's enabled in the system settings. And depending on your version of Koha, you may have to enable your particular account to use the advanced editor since there's a new system preference or permission setting in the patron record. So we're just going to have oh, it didn't switch back to the correct window. Let me make sure I'm in the correct. Thank you. I'll try to remember that. Here we go. I hope you're seeing it now. Let me know if you're
Yeah,
not.
it's blinking now. You're good.
Okay, great. I'm clearly a screen share newbie. So Smith Sue is our author of our book. Doing it simple today. It's going to be a book. And when you're keying your indicators, notice that sometimes it gets a little off. So you have to do your first indicator and a space, and then your second indicator, and then a space, and then you're all set. You don't need to put spaces around your delimiters while you're keying. And this is going to be what to take to eat well on your voyage around the world. Chocolate, coffee, cheese, and all the important food groups. By Sue Smith. Subfield A, yes, must be explicitly keyed. And that's something to keep in mind if you're used to cataloging on utilities like OCLC where it's understood that Koha requires seeing it. And we might have, let's see, where would this be published? How am I getting the field tag symbol? Good question. Control D gives you a delimiter. And if you're not in the right place, you'll notice it shows up gray. Here, it's gray. That gives me a clue that I need to hit a space and go into the correct area. Oh, now it's red. That's not right. So a good way to do that is to just back up, type your indicator again, space, subfield A, there it goes. This was published in, well, New York. Keep it easy. Totally real publishing for cataloging testing in 2020. And you key an underline symbol when you don't have a particular indicator. This is a short book, so you can take it along with you on your boat. 34 pages, color illustrations, maps, and it's kind of tiny, so it's 19 centimeters. See, I might be able to take, okay, if there's more noise, I might be able to see who that is and give them a hand with muting them. There we go.
Yeah, and we do have a few people that called in, so they may not be able to mute themselves. The ones with the little phone icons.
Okay, let's put in a couple of notes. Oops. From cover. Includes bibliographic references. And that's all we're going to do at the moment to keep it simple. We'll go back and do some subject headings and other headings and verifying, but let's hit save just in case. One thing to always remember is save early and save often. Now for the fixed fields, oh, thank you. Yes, I did mean a 588 field. I think I did. Let me check. let's go to, I tend to use Catalogger's Desktop, but anyone can go to, oh, wow. Library of Congress is, my bookmark is dead for the mark fields. Huh. So I'm going to go to whoops. I'm just clicking all over the place. Here, let me share my screen again. And go to Catalogger's Desktop. Let's check that mark field. Source of description note. This is a pretty new field. Yep, source of description. So I think that looks good. Let me put in something wrong to show you what it does when you have something wrong. Not only is it in red, but when you try to save, it'll say it's incorrect. And it will put these little black bars here to show you I'm having troubles with these fields. No worries, Fred. No one ever who's a real cataloger, I think, thinks they're a real cataloger. There's all things that we're less familiar with and more familiar with, and we need to check on. I've been doing this forever, and as you can see, I still haven't memorized what my 588 indicator is. The way to delete a field is Control X. And we should be able to correctly save now, which is nice. I like that it does a bit of validation when it's saving. So in order to do your fixed fields, you can simply click in here and fill them in if you're familiar with it. But my favorite way to do it is to simply go up to the top, copy the URL, go to a different browser, and let me make sure I share this. There we go. I've popped into Chrome. I can put the URL of the record I'm editing into the top. And then when that's up, I can switch to the basic editor. I could also do this in my other browser, but for my workflow, it makes more sense for me to have one record in the one version in the basic editor in one browser and the advanced editor in the other browser. And then this lets you go into that 008 field a little differently with a lot more cues and a lot more information. So you have all these prompts that I think make it a little bit easier to quickly fill in these fields in the fixed field. So we did have illustrations. If I remember correctly, we have maps. And I think everything else we can pretty much leave the way that is here. And we can also double check our other fields. For our purposes, I think it's good enough. Gonna hit a save. Oh, my template required those fields to be filled in. It filled in default fields. Great. Now we can go back to our advanced editor and do my screen share. There we are. And I can even hit reload to make sure I've got the latest version of the record that I've been editing, and we'll see that I've got those newly done fixed fields now in here. So let's add some subject headings. Let's see. Voyages and travels. Now we can do some fancy things that I don't do very often, like checking the authorities from right here. I know there's a way to do it. Let's see. Well, you know, I have to confess what I usually do. Oh, here we go. 942 subfield 2 is a drop-down menu. Can I put a drop-down in any field? I don't know. It's possible. There's a lot that I don't know about the advanced editor. And I haven't done a lot of experimenting with authorities. What I tend to do is have my authority file in a different tab. And simply double check my headings here.
On the 942 subfield 2, I think that's set up in your frameworks. It's set to pick from a list. So that's why.
Thank you, Jason. Yep, and these are the only two that we use in my library. We use the 090 for local. Let's see. Amber chimes in, says she always checks the subject headings in the basic editor. It would be great if we could do it from the advanced editor. Sounds great. Let's give that a try. Let me put somebody real in the author field then. Margaret asks, tell me again, how do we check the subject headings? In the advanced editor, I usually just have my authority file in a separate tab, but let's play with doing it from the basic editor. I'm going to reload the record. Oh, I'm going to share. Reload the record in my Chrome browser and go into edit. And this browser is set for the basic editor. Alan Villiers. Interesting, that field is locked for editing right now. Aha. Here we go. So the way I got this was the little tag editor next to it gave me a new window.
The tag editor is not popping up for us.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I'll probably have to do a new, let me do a new share. Yep, I have to do a new share on the little pop-up window. I think, oh, nope. Here we go. Where's the little pop-up window? Oh, maybe I can just do this.
Yeah, that worked. We can
Okay,
see everything now.
Great. I'm just going to share the whole thing. So got here through the tag editor. Here's my search options for my authority file. Let's search. No results found. I think I'm probably misspelling his name. Let's try that again. No. Let's see. Let me go into my authority file and pick a name. Let me just. Aha, 1L. Okay. Aha. That's interesting. When I had it mostly typed, it popped it in. No results found. Oh, because this is interesting. It put the subfield E from my bib record into this search main heading field. So I had to take that out. There we go. Now I can see that's the author I want. I can choose. And it's now in my record. Let's go do our subject heading. Voyages and travels. Yes. And let's save our record. And in the chat, the locked field may due to a system preference called Biblio adds authorities. Oh, let's check that. Do you need an authority control system in order to check it in Koha? Well, Koha comes with the capability to import and key in authority records. So you would need those authority records, I think, in Koha in order for it to perform that checking. You don't necessarily need it that way. You could check headings against external sources like the Library of Congress or AAT, but a benefit to having them linked that way in Koha is that, say, the heading Voyages and Travels was changed to Voyages, or Voyages, Travels, and Journeys. If your headings in your bib records are linked to that authority record, all you have to do is update that authority record, and then it automatically changes all those linked headings, which saves a lot of time.
Heather, did you build your authority file? Did you import it from somewhere?
Most of our records, when we did our recon, were imported from the Library of Congress with a lot of local records that were keyed in manually. The previous staff had put a lot of non-standard local headings in the bib records, and people were used to, our users were used to searching those. So when we did our recon, we keyed those into authority records as well. And I'm doing a big project right now in order to look for all those local headings, upgrade them, get the bibliographic records. Sometimes it's automatic. I can just upgrade a local heading to a pretty well matching yet different Library of Congress heading. And then everything that's linked upgrades, and then I just double check a few things that don't get matched. And other times it's not really one-to-one. And that's a pretty long project. One can have that done by external companies, which goes faster, goes very well, but costs a lot of money. So this way, with me doing it slowly, it doesn't cost us extra money. It's a slower project. It's a high quality project since I'm familiar with our collection and our subject area. It's a balance. So let's check that Biblio adds authority system preference. Oh, so here with what we've got. Our catalog is set to when editing records don't allow them to automatically create new authority records if needed, rather than having to reference existing authorities. I remember why we chose that. It was because of all of these non-standard local headings that tend to be in our records that we're working with. We have a question here. How easy is it to merge authority records? Let's say I have Reuben William, Reuben Billy, Reuben W. James, and they're all the same person. I've done some merging of authority records. You would be merging them 2 at a time. We can go ahead and take a look at that. So what I'm going to do is pick something. Here we go, beverages. Nice, lovely heading. I'm going to key in a new authority record. And there's no advanced editor yet for authority records. I would love there to be an advanced editor for authority records. I'm going to make this one also beverages and just put in a note, save. It will tell you this is a duplicate. I'm going to say you can go in and re-edit it, figure out the problem, or simply, oh, let's do that again. Okay. Beverages. Oh yeah, need my 040. There we are. Okay, save as new authority. I now have 2. So here are my 2 authority. If I had 3 to merge, I would have to merge them, I believe, 2 at a time. Go to merge. Oh, I think that's the one I want to keep. Let's do this one, merge. There we go. Merging with authority beverages. Oh, I did it backwards. I kept the wrong one. It's very, very easy to pull the correct one in, which is one reason why I picked one that was so easy to recognize. OCLC authorities is where I get our headings. OCLC authority, beverages. We can do a mark preview. Yep, there's beverages. And let's import that. Is this a duplicate of drinking alcoholic beverages? No. Now let's see how many beverages headings I have. And here's the situation where we have 3. These are duplicates. Now, one way to deal with the 3, like you have in your situation, is if one of them is frankly not real, simply delete it. If that's the one you can do without, but you'll have to reload your screen because it's still going to show to you. And now I can merge these. Oh, Interesting. It might, I may have only one record now and it has to wait for a script to run. So I'll just make myself a note to check that. But yeah, if I want to look at this, that's really there. It thinks that's really there. Let's try merging it this way. I haven't done a lot of authority merging. I may not be doing it correctly. Oh, evidently I didn't. This is a case where I would go read the manual. Fred asks, is it possible to display the record number for all the records on the screen? Sounds like that might be useful. I wish. I don't know of a way to see all the record numbers.
If you hover over details, can you see it in the URL? Yeah.
Yeah, that is a way to do it. 27697. Yeah. Fred says enhancement request. Actually, what I would love to see on the screen is this 010 field, because that is the field that it checks to overlay authorities when you import them. But hey, it's a big screen. Maybe we could ask for both. So going back to Rancor, let's see. Let me get into here, back to the screen. One other thing is that you can put macros in, which are really handy and nice, but depending on what version of Koha you have, they may be being saved in your browser rather than being saved at the Koha level. We're in 1905, so the macros are still saved in the browser, and I don't have my browser settings correct to save my macros. My laptop was just upgraded to Windows 10, everything reinstalled, and I haven't gotten the browser set yet. But over in the Koha wiki, let's get over there. Is this page on advanced editor macros? And here's where you can go to get them, to copy them. But you can also, like, I want the 3XX fields for a book bib record. I can simply go in here and do a real low-tech copy and paste. And then just do a little typing. Oh, great. Margaret says they work fine in Chrome, but can't do them in Firefox. That is really good to know. I'll try that. Another thing I've been playing with is Marquette, and it's really easy to get these in Marquette. Oh, Margaret says sometimes her macros land in the wrong place. Yeah, I noticed that when I was playing with them and putting them in. Now I'm going to actually delete those fields I just put in to show you how easy it is to get those in Marquette. Oh, thank you, Jason, for putting the URL for that page in the chat. So you can configure your Marquette to work with your Koha catalog through settings. And down here, move this over, ILS integration. And here's where you would enable and put in your Koha's Z3950 settings, your login and password. And then we go into Marquette, Koha, search. Let me get this so I can see it. And let me get back here. Actually, I can do the record number, I believe. Oh, there we go. Here it is. Download. Oh, thank you, Barbara, for the bug number about retaining the macros when the browser's cleared. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And here's our record in Marquette. Marquette has a really neat tool for the RDA helper. You can ask it to do all of these things. It does it really pretty well. When I'm using Marquette, I tend to use it for these 3x fields. I say, just please add those. And it adds them beautifully. And then from here, I can update it. And it will ask, should the item data be updated? Not right now. Records processed 1. And if I reload my record, I see that I've got those RDA fields. One thing I've also been working on is using Marquette instead of OCLC's connection client. And I'm taking a lot of notes on that. I'm not going to save the changes of the record in Marquette, because I have some volunteer catalogers who are working on Macs, and OCLC's connection client, it doesn't run beautifully for them on Macs. I don't know how well it does on Linux. Also, the connection browser for people used to just typing in their records, the browser is a lot slower, especially over the network connections we have. And Marquette seems to work really well with OCLC as well. So let's see. So of course, we would want to put on items. From here, if you click Edit Items, you're going to get a separate window with your items, and you're still retaining your record, your bib record over here. We don't have an advanced editor for items, which is another thing I would love. Here's another enhancement request, or it may already be in Bugzilla. I haven't checked. But the items are done in the normal item.
What happens if you try to add a 952 in the advanced editor? Does it just reject it?
Ooh, let's try it. Okay, it has one item. Let's just go try it. Okay, so let me, I think the O is the call number. Let's pretend this is a copy too. What is it gonna do? It doesn't like it.
Oh, and it says item tags can't currently be saved.
Bummer.
Darn.
Okay, we have a question. I haven't used Marquette connected to our Koha yet. Can I run a vendor file through Marquette and update and save directly into Koha? That's a question I don't know. We have not done much with vendors and acquisitions, but oh, Fred says yes, that's great. That might be a really great topic for one of our future meetings. If Fred or someone who does that would want to present on how to do that.
So I have a question, Fred. Fred, on mic. We want to hear you. Are you talking about importing the record directly from Marquette, or are you talking about editing the record in Marquette and then staging it with Koha's tools and importing it with the Koha tools?
Okay, I guess I won't type my response. Hold them up. Be right back.
Breathe,
oh,
Fred.
No.
Just breathe.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
No, you're not going to kill me. No, I have to say, you do have my head swimified with all this. See, we get our books from Rittenhouse. Anyway, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. And we also have online books from Clinical Key and R2. And I can just download the batch of records and add the 942. I discovered I have to add a 952 or you can't actually download them by batch from Koha. At least that's what I think is going on, but I'm still working on that. And then just upload them into Koha. So you can do it.
So you're putting the records in Koha, pulling them out into Marquette, and then pushing the changes back into Koha.
No, I'm pulling them from the vendor files that we get from, let's say, Clinical Key. Download that, open it in Marquette, add whatever I need, and then upload it to Koha.
Directly from Marquette.
No, I save it as an MRC file and then go to upload the.
Oh, you stage it in
stage, yeah.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
It's just that when you search for, let's say I added 942, was it C ebook, but then I try to search it in, let's say the advanced search for ebook, they don't come up. And I think that's because I need to add a 952, even though they don't actually have items. This has been really confusing me for the last couple of months, as you can tell.
We put dummy items on our records. It facilitates a lot of searching for records that don't have a physical presence.
Okay, what fields? Actually, I should probably ask you by email because I won't be able to write it down. What fields are you putting in?
Ah,
clearly, I need to do that too.
okay, let me pull up some of them. Let's look for our shelving location of online. And, well, that'll pull up a lot of them. Let's just do that. Oh yeah, in chat, Carolyn made a good point that you can make your batch changes at the staging step with mark modification. That's something I haven't played with, but I want to play with more. And okay, so here's an example of an online resource that we cataloged. And let's go ahead and take a look at edit this item record so you can see everything. We have we're sure to have a shelving location of online. We are sure to have a call number in case people are doing a shelfless browse. That a lot of these things were put in on our batch load. We don't consciously put in the prices, and we also put in item types, whether it's an online book or something like music that's online. A lot of these are old online spoken word. And that's what we tend to put in. I'm glad you have a happy dance, Fred. And these options are useful for some of our researchers because if they are in the OPAC, and a lot of our researchers are remote users of our catalog who never ever visit, they could very well say, I'm looking for books that are online, and hit a search. And we do our best to create cataloging records for items that are available online that are, you know, very, very essential for us, vary in scope, that sort of thing, to facilitate this sort of discovery. We also turned on the connecting with the online library. So if people are looking for something general, it will do found results in the Open Library collection, and this connects to openlibrary.org. And let's take a look at one of those. And it'll go, you can click that and head straight over here. And if there are open library results, they show up here. And we're not seeing many of them with this search. But when they do show up, it can be very handy for our researchers, because if you have an open library account, even if the book isn't digitized and available for download, there can be a digital copy at the open library that's available for anybody who's created a free open library account to actually borrow that online copy for a period of time. So I'm looking at my list of things that I thought would be useful and that were on the list to double check in Rancor. The only other thing I have to mention is that unless you consciously close this window out, it's going to stay here. Because when you hit view, it launches a separate record or a separate window or a separate tab, depending on how your browser is set, in order to view your record. And I noticed it. Let's see. Nope, that's there. Your edit window will stay here. So one thing to always keep in mind is to close out that window if you want to avoid some inadvertent editing. And you can always go back. The browser tends to remember whether you had it set to advanced editor or not, so it will launch whatever editor you have. If you go into the advanced editor by mistake, you can, of course, hit the back button. Nothing's been saved. So I was thinking maybe for our next meeting topic, we could build off of what we've done here and perhaps either look at some more authorities, but those tend to be pretty straightforward, or we could do some more experimenting with Marquette. I've been working with Myka in Pennsylvania. She's been really, really open with her workflow and tips and tricks and hints. And I'm hoping to generate some useful documentation on how to catalog with OCLC and Koha using Marquette and Koha in an OCLC connection-free way. And it's pretty fast. It's pretty easy. It's a little difficult to set up, but once you've got it set up and working, it's really nice. Oh, and we have some +1s and some positive comments for that in the chat. So yeah, let's make our next session then on Marquette.
I'm going to unmute myself to say that for Coathon that it's happening on April 23rd, I have somehow been volunteered, okay, I did it, to talk about Marquette for half an hour or so. So I'm going to be asking a lot of questions such as, what do you think I should what do you think I can talk about for half an hour?
That sounds terrific.
And I'm also working on a few other projects which would involve building a library, not using OCLC, which I understand wants money, but Z3950, which doesn't, including a library in Eswatini, Africa, used to be Swaziland. So it's going to be an interesting project.
That sounds fascinating. That sounds really cool.
And Heather, I think you just volunteered to be the cataloging consultant.
That sounds fine. Well, one thing that I really, really enjoy about talking about cataloging and engaging with other catalogers and cataloging positive folks and cataloging curious folks is that I learn so much. So I get a lot out of it. So that would be fantastic. And one thing that might be really, really helpful too, Fred, is at least you and I, perhaps you and I and Myka, to get together on Zoom and do some chatting and sharing and see what we can learn and develop. I'm really looking forward to the KohaCon. I'm going to be tuning into that as much as I can. So that sounds terrific.
Okay, and then I can get up on my soapbox and say, I think it'd be a good, creating a library from nothing using Z3950 would be a good use for COA for resource poor libraries, not just in Africa, but elsewhere. And if koha-US can be a driving force behind that, would be a nice thing.
Definitely. I'm a big advocate of that. Not only because, of course, I love getting free records, but also since I'm a federal employee in the US, everything I do is in the public domain. All our records are in the public domain. And anything that I can do to get our records out there and shareable and useful for people is furthering that mission for us. And I know our library is really, really specialized, But if there are any of our records that can help anybody, I'm happy to get them out there. And that would be a great thing for us to talk about, especially since koha-US is so supportive of this SIG, is how we can get the records out there. Well, we have about 5 more minutes on the clock. If there's anything else, I'm going to go ahead, I think, and stop my share. Does anybody have any other questions or would like to chime in with anything?
I'll jump in on, is it Ali? Your question about the recording. It depends on how fast it hits the cloud, but I should hopefully have it up on our YouTube page by the end of today, tomorrow at the latest. So.
Terrific. And I will be saving the chat too. Oh, Fred, I love that quote, get the champagne out of the bottle. Yes. Well, thank you all for joining us and for chiming in. I still have our original list of topics that we generated at our last meeting, but yeah, we'll do the next one. We'll do Marquette. Probably after that, we'll look at authorities. And until next time, I'll see y'all on our email group. And thank you all very much. I think I'll go ahead and end this a few minutes early and everyone can get back to their days. Have a great day and happy cataloging. Bye.